Hey guys, what's up? My name is Jesus Conde. Welcome back to another episode of Digital Painting Art Show. Today we're going to be doing a Halloween pumpkin. We're going to talk about blending, surface scattering, and lights. So let's get started. So the first thing that we're going to do is look for reference. When you don't feel inspired or you just don't know how things looks like, you can just do one search. In these days you can just do one search in Google or listen to some music or watch a movie and you get ideas instantly. So what I wanted to do is work on this Halloween theme, and last week I did this drawing for the timeless drawings that I'm uploading lately, and I just thought, why not, let's do this pumpkin of the middle, which is the most evil looking one, and let's color it. And we're going to be talking about the lights, how the lights are called in a scene, and we're going to be talking about making details and how do I do the blending for those details. Okay, so right now you can see I'm just picking some colors. I was going to use green for the root of the pumpkin, but I thought, okay, some kind of a Halloween theme. Orange and purple always look good, so I just tried to blend those. So I just click on one of the colors and put it 50% opacity to get like the middle of between them two, once I put one on top of the other. And here I'm just trying to get the colors pop out of the background, because it's so alike. The background and the colors that I use are so similar that you cannot see too much of the root of the branch of the pumpkin. So I probably will change the brightness and contrast in a few seconds, or the lightness, to make it more dark, and that way I can make it more different, make it more to pop out of the background. In the eyes and the mouth, I just did it really bright, because it's a light that is coming from the inside, so it really doesn't matter how I paint it right now. Okay, so let's imagine that my light is coming from the top left, and this light will be called the key light. This is the principal light of the scene. With this light, what's going to happen is that it's going to illuminate. It's going to light the most of the scene, or the character that you have in your scene. In this case, the pumpkin. So here you will have like the most of the lighting and the highlights of the character or whatever you're painting are going to be represented by the position of how this light is placed. The backlight, which is some light that's come from the back, as the name says, is just to make it pop from the background. Like you can see the difference between you can see better the silhouette of the thing. You could see the silhouette without the backlight, but this is something that is used in movies, and it really gives a really nice look to it. In 3D animation right now, it's like there's almost no scene that doesn't have backlight, or TV shows, even if they are live action. In this case, because it's Halloween, we're going to use our backlight is going to be the moon. It's going to be a blue backlight. The moon actually is not a source of light like directly. It's more like a super giant bounce light. But anyway, that's too technical. And so we're going to be talking right now about the fill light, which is, if the fill light didn't exist, which is all the bounce light that you receive from other places. Like for example, if you are in your room and you turn your light on, you your light could be at your back, but your face at your front is still lit up, and that's because the light bounced from the walls, from the table that you are on. Everything that is around you is bouncing the light, so that is feeling you're seeing with lighting. It's also called color bleeding, when you have like a super saturated color, and another thing that is one side, you get some of the color of this saturated thing, it transferred to the other object because of the light. Anyway, we're also going to talk about subsurface scattering, which is like what happens when you have a light inside of the pumpkin, and it's going to look more like it's looking more like like it's something coming from the inside. It's what happens when you turn a lantern underneath your skin. Your hand turns red. In this case, will be orange because it is a pumpkin. It doesn't have blood. It's just the material of the pumpkin. I was going to say pumpkin juice. Anyway, so these are our lights. So we say that the backlight is going to be the moon because of the Halloween feeling, and I just wanted you guys to know how the lights are called. These are just three-point light technique. It's very used on 3D, and it's like the basic. Obviously, there's more complex stuff going on, but just so you can see. You can investigate about subsurface scattering. You'll find tons of information on Google, Wikipedia, YouTube maybe. Most of it something related with 3D, I could say, because it was like a breakthrough to have something like that. So here I recorded myself with my hand with the lantern, and you can see my hands turn red because of the light. You can see my fingers go red because of the light getting through my skin, but not the bones. The bones are too solid, too thick to the light go through them. So I just changed the opacity here. You can see the opacity, the lightness. This was the step that you guys didn't saw. And now I'm just going to put some colors to have a guide. The thing that I want you guys to also get from this tutorial is that the process is really I really didn't know how it's going to look at the end. So what I really want you guys to focus on this is, like, for example, here I'm applying this color because I need a lighter color. But somebody could say, hey, but you are like just painting on top of the liner. Just what does it matter? It really doesn't matter. What matters is the result that you're going to get at the end. It's going to look like what you want at the end. So why concentrate on doing a workflow that is not like a rule? You know what I mean? Like, you can do this in 100 different times, and it could look, of course, it's going to look different at the end depending on what technique you use. But I just want you guys to free yourself of the process that you guys do your paintings, and experiment that you could do something. For example, here I'm just painting on top of everything. I don't care if I erase the liner. The liner made its purpose at the beginning, and now I'm just not using it. That's it. I just put in color on top of it, and here what happens is that I'm putting this really bright orange because the light just bounced all over the interior of the pumpkin and just finds the way through out of it in these holes that are made with a knife. So here I'm just adding a little bit of shadow at the bottom, and I want you guys to see that I'm not using a soft brush. It's actually a hard brush. We're going to talk about this brush at the end. Here I'm adding some dark on these parts, on the roots, because I needed volume. And you have to think of working everything at the same time, not working a specific part and then jump to another, at least not yet. We're going to talk about that at the end, about how to approach the details. And here I created a new layer and applied some highlights. It was too white, so now I put a little bit of orange. That I took the same orange that I have on the eyes. I just took it with the eyedropper and put it in there. Same here. I'm trying to add some texture, and as you can see, I changed the opacity after applying the color because I like to test a lot of stuff. For example, I apply a color. If I don't like it, I just dim it down a little. I don't erase it completely, maybe. Sometimes I do that a lot. Here I'm adding some volume to these branches and roots and leaves because they were looking too dark in there. But yeah, I just want you guys, like here I added a little bit more of detail because I needed something in this side. We're going to talk about the details at the end, like how do I apply details, and a brush that I use and a method that I use to create the details. Here I put it a lot of orange all over it because I wanted to get the effect that I told you guys, like being lit from the inside. You can see almost if it's kind of the light is going through the pumpkin skin, so you guys can see it more saturated. Here I'm adding a little bit more of highlight, but I dim it down later with the opacity of the layer, of that layer. Always do that to any layer, so if you do something bad, you can just replace it or change it opacity really easy. And you can see that maybe because I do this, here I'm adding more and more backlight with more color, like more saturated color, without erasing anything that I had before. That is something that you guys should really think about, like constantly developing and asking yourself, what can I add to this painting, or maybe not just add, maybe just take off something because it will be like too much or something like that. I don't know. Right now I'm just adding a background in a layer underneath, of course, just to give it some how do I say that, like to make it look more in harmony, maybe, because of the it really doesn't make too much sense to have a blue outline, a blue rim light, a backlight, and just having a gray background. So I'm just putting something to kind of like make it in context, kind of like a foggy background with a moon. Anyway, I'm going to start now, a few seconds, with the details. And the detail part is just, this is the way I do when I want to do detail, this is the technique that I use. So I have this ball, gray ball, and I'm just going to blend with this small brush. And this is going to be what I'm going to blend. I'm going to do the transition from this to the gray, and you guys are going to see how I do that with a little brush. What I want you is to open your mind about what you guys are going to see. So this is my brush 100%. Let's say I use 50%. Sometimes I use even less. I use like 30, maybe 20%. So if I have 50% and I do 2 strokes, I get 100%. Obviously, is math. So if I were using 30%, it will be like 3 times, kind of make 100%. So if I want to do a scale, I just do a scale by repetition of starting one brush is the first step, the second step is 2 times 2 strokes, that is the word, 2 strokes, 3 strokes, 4 strokes, 5 strokes. So what you're going to do is just take the middle strokes with the eyedropper. I forgot the word, with the eyedropper, so you guys can have like the middle between the top color and the low color, like the color A and the color B. If you use 50% between them, in either of the two, you can get like the blend. And then later you're going to take that blend with the eyedropper and you're going to paint with that, and that way you're going to start doing this blending really slowly. What matters to me with this technique is the speed that you're going to get by doing it. Your hand is going to hurt really bad the first time you do it because you're not used to this kind of movement. So it's really more like a repetition, a lot of repetition, a lot of drawing movement. But what you can see is not completely soft. You could get a really soft result with this with time, but that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for to look like it has the strokes, like you can see the strokes on it. Feng Shui call it teeth. When you have something like this, call it like, I want to see a painting with teeth. That's what he means, I guess, with this, because you can see the blending. Right now I'm using 20%. You can see the blending. By the way, if you use lower percentage of the opacity on the brush, you can get softer result. That's like logical. But another thing that I like of this technique is that you can draw at the same time. You can draw detail. You can draw like you can draw the detail at the same time that you are doing the blending, and that's really important for me because I like to be able to change my painting really fast. And by doing it this way, I can just change it with color right away. And right now, for example, I'm just doing here with little lines, a little blending. It really doesn't look like a blending, but if you look from far away, it gives you the idea that the color is blending, and that's what you need to do. You have to make people think of something, not to actually do it. Like if you see a traditional painting, you will see a lot of strokes if you are close, but if you are far away, you'll swear it's a photograph. So right now, as you can see, I'm doing the same technique. It's just lines, little lines, and just taking with the eyedropper and keep painting, take it with the eyedropper and keep painting. Right now I'm using low percentage and I'm using 100% of the opacity in the brush, and you can see how I get details. I make changes on lighting. I do everything, but you already got to have the colors made. You already got to have a great base if you're going to use this technique. But if not, what's going to happen is that you're going to have to do major changes. So what you need to do to use this technique is having at least the final coloring or all the ingredients that you need. When I say ingredient, I say everything that you need. The shadows already made, the highlights already made, all the lights coming, the backlight, the field light, everything has to be already done. And this is the last thing that you're going to do, like the last thing after hours and hours and hours of painting, of definition, of refinement of your lighting. This is the last thing. This is the last step that you're going to do, and you're going to get really great results with this technique. I know, if you learn how to use it properly. So for example, you can see the leaves. I did some lighting, put some highlights here in the roots. I'm also putting some highlights that were not there, but I just took the color with the eyedropper, and some lighting from the pumpkin. Here I'm adding some of the backlight also, but I can do that in a really detailed way because I'm just painting with a small brush. I'm all over it. Like, I don't have to change the size, I don't have to think too much, I just do it, okay? So that's what I value of this technique, so I really hope you like it. For the glow thing, which I'm going to talk about in a few seconds, it's really easy actually. It's nothing fancy at all. So I'm going to explain you more about it. So let's say I have this, I went back one step, And I'm just going to take this really soft brush. It's any brush that is soft. I have it right there. I'm just going to take this color with the eyedropper in a new layer. I'm just going to click once like that. So just click there, here, and you can go right away to the blending modes, and you can select screen or linear dodge. You can use whatever of those you want. I prefer screen, but linear dodge works pretty well also for this kind of stuff, for fire, for lens flares. And then what you can do if you don't like this result is you can change the color by going to the adjustments. You can go to image. If you want to change like the color, the intensity and everything, and you can go to hue and saturation. Then you go image, adjustment, hue and saturation, and you have this panel, and you can change the color and the saturation of it and the lightness. If you change the lightness, what's going to happen is you're going to change the intensity, like because of course this is like all the lightest values burn, but if you put darker one, it just disappear. So if I go down on lightness, it disappears, but if I go too bright, it just goes white because it's super light. So you can change that in there. If you actually want to keep using this color and just, then how do I take this color now? You can just change the blending mode to normal and take it with the, like that, normal, take it with the eyedropper in there. Just take that color, boom, and put it here in the nose and a little bit of the mouth. I'm doing this really quick, so it probably won't end up looking really bad. But anyway, something like this, you get the idea. And then you can also change the opacity if you want. You can change the opacity with the numbers, or you can change the opacity here with the bar. So that's how I do this glowing effect. The other thing was the brush that I was using, which is this one, and you can create it by just taking any circle brush like this one. You just a circle brush. What it has to have, it has to be thick and rigid. It cannot change the opacity. So the shape dynamics have to be activated with the pen pressure, but not the other dynamics or transfer. Other dynamics or transfer has to be deactivated. So, and then the other thing that I have with this brush is that in brush tip shape I have the roundness more like an oval shape. So the oval shape works better for me because it gives a look, different look. So you guys can see the result here. It's kind of cool. So this is actually it. This is the tutorial that I have for you guys today. I really hope you like it. Remember that if you want to use, you can use this on your project. If you are one of my patrons, my Patreon page, you can click down there at the right. And it's just $2 a month, and you can download the PSDs and an extra video with all the processes. You can see it later and analyze it. A longer video, so it's not that speed up as this one. And this is kind of like what my Patreon page looks like. All the tutorials that I've been doing, I just put it in there, and some images of projects that I do by myself that I'm going to post later. But if you don't like that, you can also support me with this little guide of 20 pages and 2 videos about how to paint skin. It comes with these skin tones, these line arts, and some textures that I made also. And the thing is more like a recipe to paint skin, because you use exactly the colors I use, because I made the palette of colors beforehand to do it. And the tutorial is really step by step. You just have to concentrate and kind of do the same stuff that I did, and you should end up with a pretty close result if you're doing it right, of course. But it won't work at the first. You have to do it at least 3 or 4 times, so you kind of can do the same that I did, because I actually have to do it myself that many times. So at least this is something I can tell you that you could get close to it, because I did it with that purpose. It's more like a recipe. It's not too much of a tutorial, it's more like a recipe to paint skin, because it's so much detailing process. Like, use this color here and you have to concentrate on the occlusion here and stuff like that. So thank you very much. I hope you can help me with that, and see you next week.